Exposed, how she sacrificed everything for surviving, but found a heartwarming love and a life-changing purpose in Elmwood. Emily stood at the edge of the diner's counter, her hands trembling slightly as she took an order from a regular. She let out a breath, the weight of her life pressing down like a heavy fog. In the heart of Elmwood, where each face was familiar and every corner held a memory, she was both known and unseen. A 30-something single mother, her resilience was legendary among the townspeople, though she felt anything but strong. After her husband left for a different life, she donned the cap of a waitress at Mary's diner and a stock clerk at the local grocery store, two jobs that barely kept the lights on, let alone the dreams alive. With each dollar earned, Emily fought to ensure that her kids, Lucy and Jack, never felt the void of their father's absence. Yet, as she wiped a tear from Lucy's cheek after yet another school event where dads were in abundance, she felt that familiar pang of hurt every single day. The kids counted on her. She promised herself, no matter what, they wouldn't suffer because of their father's choice. That in Elmwood, community values ran deep, but the economic hardship was beginning to show. Barbecues and parades slowly faded as worry settled in like an unwelcome guest. The judgmental stares from others when they saw her struggle cut deep. "It's hard to see a woman like Emily fighting for a life she deserves," a neighbor once murmured. At the diner one fateful evening, as the clanging of dishes filled the air, Jack walked in, a carpenter with a rugged past. His eyes, like the ocean after a storm, were full of trauma and curiosity. He noticed Emily's unyielding struggle and, somewhere between their first shared smiles and awkward laughter, something precious began to bloom. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Just as Emily began to believe she could find joy again, disaster struck. A sudden storm ravaged Elmwood, ripping apart homes and uprooting lives. Emily quickly became a beacon in the darkness, rallying the community to help those in need. In doing this, she unearthed a collective spirit that had lain dormant for too long. But with each organization meeting and relief effort, Emily felt a greater desire for acceptance, the haunting urge to be recognized in her hometown, a place that seemed to cloak her in shadows. As Jack stood by her side, witnessing her unwavering determination, Emily grappled with both burgeoning feelings for him and the social prejudice surrounding their bond. Yet, hope flickered with every soul they helped. But just as things began to mend, a shadow from her past reappeared, threatening to shatter everything she had built. Would justice for Emily's sacrifices finally come? As her heart raced, the path ahead grew murky. Was the love she craved within reach, or would the ghosts of yesterday pull her back into the darkness? Emily's heartbeat echoed in her ears like a drumroll, drowning out the murmurs of relief clinging to the air around her. The storm had passed, but its aftermath felt like a betrayal of all the hard work and hope she had nurtured. She stood there, surveying the damage, her breath caught in her throat. The houses she had watched children grow up in now lay in shambles, their brightly colored facades gone, replaced by splintered wood and strewn debris. Lucy and Jack played nearby, trying to gather the remnants of their normalcy. Emily forced a smile at them even as the ground felt as if it would swallow her whole. But no matter how heavy the weight of despair felt, Emily had to keep moving, for their sakes. "Let us take a walk, Em." Jack's voice broke through the haze, steady and grounding. He approached, his own exhaustion evident, yet his blue eyes sparkled with an unyielding spark that could light up the darkest of days. She nodded, thankful for his presence as they strolled through the wreckage of Elmwood. The aroma of wet earth mingled with cinders, a smell both nostalgic and foreboding. "It's going to take time for us to recover," Jack said, his tone firm. "But we can do it. Together. Together." The word wrapped around her heart like a gentle embrace. In the weeks that followed the storm, they rallied the community, they hosted cleanup events, shared food, and reconnected friendships severed by time and misfortune. Their effort forged something even deeper, a bond that neither of them fully understood, but both felt stirring something they had almost forgotten. Yet, just as a moment of laughter sparked during one of their planning meetings, the door swung open to reveal a familiar figure, Mark, her estranged husband. He stood there looking out of place, drenched from the rain that had fallen without warning. The past swirled like a tempest, memories unfolding like a deck of cards. Emily froze, shock painting her features as he stepped forward. "Emily," he said, his voice a blend of desperation and regret. "I need to talk to you." The room felt smaller. The air thickened, and Emily glanced at Jack, the turmoil of emotions churning in her stomach. Mark hadn't come for closure, she felt it. No, he had returned to tug on the threads of a life he had tossed aside. She took a step back, her hands trembling. "What do you want?" "I want us to try again for the kids." There it was, the enormity of the request. As a rush of old feelings surged through her, Emily felt an urgency to shout that it could never be that simple. Lucy and Jack had no idea their father had returned. They were content, happy even. How could she shatter that innocence? Jack's presence solidified beside her, his silence loud with promise and support. But the heartache that echoed in her memory could not be ignored. "You've been gone, Mark. They don't even know you," she whispered fiercely, frustration mingling with anguish. "Things can change," he insisted, his tone edged with vulnerability. "I want to be there for them, for you." In that moment, as Mark's words hung in the air, Emily felt torn between the past that haunted her and the fragile love that had begun to blossom with Jack. Could she risk the stability she had fought so hard to build, the hope she'd uncovered, for a second chance at a love that had already hurt her so deeply? As her heart wrestled with uncertainty, Emily squinted into Mark's eyes and saw not only a plea for forgiveness but the possibility of renewed pain. She took a step forward, ready to confront the words that would change everything. The echoes of the past loomed over them, but the future shimmered with opportunity. What was she going to say? With each breath taken in that charged moment, the answer seemed as far away as freedom itself. The silence enveloped the room like a thick fog. Emily's breath hung suspended as she processed the weight of Mark's words. Her heart thudded unevenly, caught between the hope of happier days gone by and the ache of betrayal. She wanted to scream at him for disappearing when they needed him most, for the nights spent questioning if he was coming back, for the pain she had masked under layers of forced smiles. Jack's voice was soft, yet steady as he squeezed her hand, offering strength without saying a word. His presence became a lifeline, a reminder of the peace they had found together in the midst of chaos. She turned to him, searching for clarity in his eyes. Would he still be there if she chose differently? "What we had is gone, Mark," she finally managed to say, each word punctuated by her racing heart. "You can't just waltz back in and expect everything to reset." Mark's expression shifted, guilt washing over him like a tidal wave. I know. But I've changed. I had to fight through my own demons. I want to make this work for the kids, for you." A sharp ache of irony twisted in her chest. She had fought through her own demons too, alone. The memories of sleepless nights comforting Lucy when she grasped for the father she had lost began to surface, mingling with the laughter of Jack and the kids just outside the room. Life had picked up again, they had made it through a storm together. Why did he think he could just waltz back and reclaim what he had cast aside? Kids? You mean Lucy and Jack? Emily shot back, frustration simmering just below the surface. They don't even know you anymore. You think they want you back just like that? Just give me a chance, Emily. His voice held desperation, eyes pleading. I could be there for them again. Her heart twisted at the thought of Lucy and Jack, their innocent faces lighting up in joy at the prospect of a father they barely remembered. She couldn't deny that tiny sliver of hope, but it was quickly swallowed by doubt. You left us, Mark. You lost that chance when you walked away. I have built a new life, one that's good for the kids. Jack stepped forward, his hand still grasping hers, and turned to Mark. You need to understand that this isn't about you anymore. This is about what's best for Emily and the kids. His voice was calm yet firm, a protective shield around them both. Mark opened his mouth to deflect, but then he paused, the energy in the room changing. It felt less like a confrontation and more like a moment for truth. I'm scared, all right? He admitted softly. I'm scared of losing them forever. Emily felt her heart stutter, caught in the tensions of love and loss. Jack's hand tightened around hers, grounding her, urging her to hold firm. She took a deep breath as she turned back to Mark, the air thick with unsaid words. Then fight for them. Prove it, she said, her voice steady and forced. But don't expect that to involve us again. Tension filled the room like the calm before another storm. Mark's face twisted in pain, and Emily thought she could see glimmers of regret dance in his eyes. He took a step back, as if her rejection physically pushed him away. Emily, he started, but the words fell away, like leaves from a tree in autumn, before she could grasp the weight of what she had just decided. Lucy's laughter rang through the air, a sound so innocent and beautiful it made Emily's heart swell. It reminded her why she had fought for this life to build something better for her children. Mark lingered in the doorway, a ghost of the man he used to be, and as he watched her retreat, Emily felt the weight of his lost love simmer under her skin. Outside, the sun was beginning to peek through the clouds, casting a warm light over the ruins of Elmwood. Come on, let us go out there, Jack said, gently nudging her forward. As they stepped back into the fresh air of possibility, Emily realized that clouds may gather, but sunlight would always break through. With each heartbeat, she understood that her choice now had the power to carve out a new path, but as they walked away, her thoughts remained tangled with doubt. Had she truly built a better life, or had she just opened a door that could lead back to heartache? Just when she thought they were stepping into the light, a distant rumble echoed a final gust, perhaps, of something yet unresolved. What would tomorrow bring? Emily stepped outside, the sunlight warming her skin, yet the chill of uncertainty lingered in her heart. Jack walked close by her side, a sturdy presence as they crossed the threshold of the house. Lucy and Jack were playing in the yard, laughter mingling with the soft rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. Mom! Look! Lucy's voice rang out, sparkling with joy as she twirled on the grass, her pigtails dancing around her head like golden rays of sunshine. Emily couldn't help but smile. Her daughter's joy was infectious, pulling at the corners of her heart, making the weight of her worries feel slightly lighter. Look at you, sweetheart! Emily cheered, her voice bright. It felt good to focus on the kids, to push the lingering anxieties to the back of her mind, just for a moment. Watch me, Mom. I'm a princess. Lucy twirled again, her arms outstretched, a crown of imagination visible above her head. Emily clapped along with Jack, who lifted their son onto his shoulders, showcasing the king of the castle he believed himself to be, but then, an image of Mark drifted into Emily's mind. It was his face, cracked with uncertainty, eyes full of fear and regret. She shook her head, trying to dust away the thought, but it stuck, persistent and nagging. Hey, Jack's voice broke into her whirl of feelings. He bent slightly, eyes warm but probing. You okay? Emily forced a nod, not wanting to ruin the moment. They were finally together, and it was good. She saw them smiling, saw Jack's loyal eyes and the way he cared for her children. Yet the shadow of Mark lingered, like dusk threatening to extinguish the day. Yeah, just, a lot to think about, she admitted finally, searching his face. Want to talk about it? His question was gentle, like his touch, the way he rested his hand on her arm. Maybe not here. I just want to enjoy today. She turned back to the kids, trying to refocus. But the shadow wouldn't give in so easily. In her mind, questions churned. Was she right to push Mark away? If he truly was changed, did he deserve a shot at being their father again? Answering her own questions became an exhausting mental game, leaving her breathless. As if sensing her turmoil, Jack leaned closer, his voice lowering to a whisper. You know, whatever happens, I'm here. You're not alone in this. For a moment, Emily simply looked into his eyes, and a sense of comfort washed over her. She squeezed his arm as if to anchor herself, an anchor in the sea of her emotions. Thank you, she said, heart swelling with gratitude for his unwavering support. At that moment, Lucy dashed over, tugging on Emily's shirt. Mommy, can I have a lemonade? She chirped, her innocent joy breaking through Emily's clouded thoughts. Of course, sweetheart. Let us make a big picture, Emily replied, buoyed by her daughter's enthusiasm. She felt lighter as they walked toward the kitchen, and the lingering matters with Mark were temporarily muted. As they prepared the lemonade, Lucy insisted on adding extra sugar, a sweet touch that made Emily chuckle. You know what they say, too much sugar makes things sweeter. She commented playfully. Just like love. Lucy cheered, earning a laugh from both Jack and Emily. But just as Emily was about to declare how perfect their day turned out, a loud knock sounded at the door, followed by Mark's hesitant voice calling for them. Emily's stomach sank, the sweetness of the moment shattered like glass. Lucy and Jack's faces illuminated with confusion as the laughter faded. Jack looked at Emily, concern etched on his brow. Are you ready for this? Taking a deep breath, Emily faced the door. She thought of the life she had fought for Lucy and Jack. This was a test, the storm she had prepared for. Would her resolve hold? With trembling hands, she reached for the doorknob. As she opened the door, the reality of their past stood before her, the future balancing on a knife's edge. What would this choice lead to now? As Emily opened the door, her heart raced, a mix of dread and curiosity coursing through her veins. There stood Mark, an uncertain shadow of the man she once knew, a man who had taken too much from her and had made promises he hadn't kept. The sunlight behind him cast a stark contrast between her bright world and the dark cloud that he represented. Emily, he said softly, his voice thick with something between hope and desperation. Can we talk? She hesitated, her thoughts a whirlwind. Mark had shown up at her door, years after everything had fallen apart. The children were right behind her, their innocent eyes wide with confusion. Lucy peeked from behind her skirt, clutching a doll as if it were her shield, while Jack stood resolutely by Emily's side, ready to protect them. Now. Emily's voice was steady, but inside, she felt a storm brewing. How could he just re-enter their lives? I didn't know where else to go, Mark stammered, his eyes darting to Lucy and Jack. I just want a chance to explain. The air grew thick, suffocating with tension and unspoken words. Emily's heart pounded as memories flickered like a broken film, real fights, sorrow, nights spent crying alone, and the towering walls she'd built around her heart to keep herself safe. Who is this man, Mom? Jack's innocent question cut through the heavy silence, his voice filled with confusion as he looked between Emily and Mark. Torn between her past and present, Emily took a deep breath. He is someone from our past, she responded, feeling the weight of the truth. Someone who didn't make the best choices. Mark shifted uncomfortably, his eyes falling to the ground. I know I messed up. I'm not that person anymore, he said earnestly, voice cracking. I've changed, but you need to believe me. Believe you? Emily echoed, the disbelief lacing her tone. You want me to believe that after everything? After leaving us to pick up the pieces? It's not just about you. It's about Lucy and Jack too, he implored, gazing at the children. I want to be a better father. If you give me this chance. Pain twisted in her chest. This was what she had feared, his reappearance mixed with the fragile dream of a family restored. But the truth was, those dreams came with risks. She could see Lucy looking between them, sensing the change in the air, feeling something ominous lurking behind Mark's words. Emily, Jack's voice was steady but edged with concern. You don't have to let him in if you don't want to. His loyalty added a new layer to her conflict. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about the children she had fiercely protected. "I don't know if I can trust you again," Emily finally said, looking into Mark's pleading eyes. She thought of her life after him, the peace, the love Jack brought into their lives. Could she just toss that away? Was she ready to rewrite the past? Seconds stretched into minutes, the sun dipping lower in the sky, casting long shadows. Mark took another tentative step forward, breaking into her thoughts. "I'll do whatever it takes, Emily, it's your choice," Jack said, his voice firm yet full of warmth. Her heart raced again, but in a different way. The warmth of Jack's faith and Lucy's innocent trust steadied her. This was about family, their family. Would she risk it for a hope that might be false? The air crackled with possibilities and consequences as she faced Mark, aware they were on the brink of a pivotal moment. Would she take that leap of faith, or fortify the walls she had so carefully built around her heart? Suddenly, a bright voice piped up from behind her, Lucy tugging on her skirt again. "Mommy, can we have a lemonade break while you talk? It's too hot out." With that innocent plea ringing in her ears, the confines of her decision felt even more pressing. What would she choose? Emily's mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. She could feel the sunlight waning, casting long shadows across the porch. The children were waiting, their trust perched on her response, the weight of it almost unbearable. "Lemonade?" she repeated, trying to grasp onto something light amid the heaviness of the moment. She looked down at Lucy, whose doll's painted eyes seemed to reflect pure innocence. Maybe a simple break was just what they needed, but that meant stepping away from this confrontation. "Okay, sweetheart, let us do that," Emily replied gently, needing a moment to breathe. She turned to Mark, still standing just outside the doorway, dark hair slightly tousled in the evening breeze. "You can come in if you're willing to talk, but we're going to keep it to lemonade for now. The kids, they need that." Mark nodded, relief washing over his features as he took a step from the shadows into the light of their living room. Emily led the way, her movements deliberate, like a tightrope walker balancing on a thin wire. Setting the pitcher on the kitchen table, she poured 3 glasses of lemonade, the cool liquid dancing with ice cubes. She handed out the drinks, forcing a smile as she watched the children eagerly sip on their refreshing treats. Their laughter filled the room, pure and untainted, like a balm on Emily's troubled heart. As they sipped, Jack looked at Mark, his small brow furrowed. "Are you staying for dinner, too?" The question hung in the air like a fragile balloon, ready to pop. Emily nearly dropped her glass. She glanced at Mark, who was taken aback. He stammered, glancing nervously between the children and Emily. His mouth opened, then closed again, as if weighing his words carefully. "Let us not rush things, Jack," Emily interjected quickly, her voice soft yet firm. "We'll see how the conversation goes first." It was a gentle way of saying they needed to navigate the minefield they were standing on. "Is it okay if we sit outside?" Jack asked, his eyes shining with a child's excitement, unaware of the tensions behind the adult pleasantries. "It's cooler there, and we can play while you talk." Lucy nodded in agreement, her curly hair bobbing as she bounced on her little feet. "Yeah. Pretty please." Mark, looking relieved to find common ground with the kids, smiled and said, "Sure, that sounds great." Emily led the way to the backyard. As the sun dipped lower, they settled on the patio furniture, surrounded by flowers that danced gently in the breeze, a stark contrast to the unsettled hearts gathered around the table. Once seated, the children quickly resumed their play, twirling in circles and laughing, leaving Emily and Mark in a pocket of tension. The sounds of their glee floated around them like a comforting blanket, but the heaviness of the moment loomed overhead. "What do you really want, Mark?" Emily finally asked, her voice steady, yet a tremor ran through her. "Do you expect to just waltz back in and pick up where you left off?" Mark's expression shifted, seriousness overtaking the brief respite of joy the children had created. "I don't expect anything," he said quietly. "I know I have a mountain to climb. All I'm asking for is a chance to show you that I'm different now." Her heart sank as she studied his face. The sincerity felt real. But could she risk her children's trust, her own heart, for someone who had hurt her so deeply? Maybe I need to know what you mean by different, Emily whispered, her heart caught in a tug-of-war between the past and the possibility of healing. But as the words hung in the air, a loud crash echoed from the play area. Lucy squealed, having toppled over a garden pot, dirt spilling everywhere. Emily's breath caught as she jumped up, the tension instantly broken by laughter and chaos. She rushed to her daughter's side, a mix of anger and concern bubbling inside. Through the laughter, she felt Mark's eyes on her, filled with an emotion she couldn't quite place. As she reached out to help Lucy, she knew she stood at an edge, one that balanced on her heart and her children's happiness. What would tomorrow bring as she navigated this unexpected reunion, and was she truly prepared for the journey ahead? Emily knelt beside Lucy, lifting the little one with a swift motion as she brushed dirt from her skirt. "Are you all right, my love?" Emily asked, her voice coated with concern. "I'm fine, Mommy." Lucy giggled, her infectious laughter cutting through the tension that had hung over their small group like a storm cloud. Jack, still dancing in the freedom of the moment, joined in the laughter, running back to help his sister. Mark watched them, his expression softening as he leaned back in his chair. For a moment, the children's laughter wrapped around him like a warm hug. But just like that, the lightness dwindled, and the reality of their situation rushed back. Emily stood up, dirt smudged on her hands, a stark reminder of the chaos so easily invited into their lives. "Mark," she said, her voice turning serious, "what do you expect from all of this? You can't just expect to step back into our lives and think everything will be okay." Mark swallowed hard, his adventurous grin replaced by a mask of contemplation. "I know," he began slowly, choosing his words like a cautious swimmer testing the waters. "It won't be easy. I'm not here to push you or the kids. I miss you all. And I've missed so much." Emily paused, feeling the weight of his gaze. Every moment spent apart had carved deeper wounds, leaving scars she couldn't ignore. "You can't act like everything is the same, Mark. We have our lives to think about." "But I want to be part of that life again," he replied, a quiet determination laced in his tone. "I want to show you that I can be the man you and the kids deserve." Lucy, not entirely understanding the gravity of the discussion, tugged at Emily's sleeve. "Mommy, can he play with us?" Emily looked from her daughter to Mark, her heart aching at the hope in Lucy's eyes. "That's not," she started, but was interrupted as Jack piped up, "Let him try, Mom. It might be fun." For a fleeting moment, doubt wavered within her. What harm was there in a game? But the stakes were higher than hide and seek. The children were fragile, and a moment's fun could lead to deeper complications. Mark caught Emily's hesitant gaze and quickly added, "I'm not perfect. I don't expect trust right away. But I'd love to join in and create memories, if you all will let me." Emily shifted on her feet, wrestling with a whirlwind of emotions. She had pushed Mark away to protect her children, to safeguard her heart, and yet his words resonated with a part of her buried deeply in the rubble of their past. "Just like that?" Emily finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark nodded earnestly. "One step at a time. Starting with some silly games." As if on cue, Lucy and Jack began to devise an impromptu game, clearly taken by the idea. They quickly set up a makeshift obstacle course using lawn chairs and flower pots, excitement bursting forth as they directed Mark in their plan. Mark's smile was genuine, filled with the spark of a joyful reunion. Emily blinked back feelings of worry as she watched the children beam, and she could almost see a possibility at turning point. For a moment, she entertained the idea of allowing this, just for tonight, but then a thought crept in, dark and lingering: what if he hurt them again? The laughter echoed into the evening air, blending with her swirling doubts. As soon as Mark took his first clumsy dive over the flower pots, Emily couldn't help but smile, if only a little. As dusk settled around them, Emily knew a decision loomed. The allure of hope and healing danced on the horizon. Could she truly give him another chance? Just as the sun dipped below the trees, painting the sky with vibrant hues, Mark glanced at her, eyes glimmering with anticipation. "Are you with me?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. With her heart racing, Emily prepared to respond, unsure what truth would follow her words. In a moment filled with promise and trepidation, they stood at a crossroads, each of them holding a piece of what could become a new beginning. Would they find their way together, despite the mess that life had thrown their way? Emily stared at Mark, her mind racing. The laughter of the children felt distant, echoing in the background like a sweet melody she hadn't heard in years. She wanted to embrace this moment, to let herself believe that a new chapter could unfold. But the walls she had built around her heart felt impenetrable. "Are you with me?" Mark's question felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Her heart pounded in her chest, an alarm that warned her of the depths of uncertainty. I don't know," Emily responded, her voice barely a whisper. "I want to be, but it's not just about us anymore. It's about the kids." Mark shifted closer, the determination in his eyes softening. "I understand. They're everything to you, and I want them to know they can trust me again." Despite herself, Emily found herself caught up in his earnestness. She could see the man he once was, the father who laughed and played, bringing joy into their home. The thought was both comforting and terrifying. "Okay, let's start with the game," she eventually said, the words tumbling out like a hesitant step forward. "But just for tonight. One night of no expectations." The corners of Mark's mouth lifted in the most genuine smile she'd seen in years. "One night it is." Lucy and Jack cheered, jumping around as they pulled Mark into the scruffy obstacle course. As the game kicked off, there was a burst of sounds, shouts of encouragement, squeals of laughter, and the pleasant thump of bodies tumbling onto the grass. But Emily felt a swirl of emotions, watching each playful moment with an ever-watchful gaze. She recalled nights spent alone, piecing together the shattered remnants of her world. Would this night lead to light or darkness ahead? Each laugh from her children felt like a fragile crystal, beautiful yet threatening to shatter at any moment. As the game unfolded, Mark struggled with the lawn chairs and flower pots, doing mock dives that sent the kids into fits of giggles. Emily couldn't suppress the fleeting smile that broke through, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. The night felt alive with possibilities. Maybe, just maybe, this would work out. Yet, as dusk deepened, shadows crept across the yard, echoing the unease that lingered in her heart. Could she truly let go of fear? Could Mark really be the man he promised to be? Mark caught her gaze again, his expression shifting. "You're worried. I can see it. How do you expect me to just forget?" she asked, the words escaping, laced with pent-up emotion. "You were a part of our lives, but then you left." "I had my reasons, and I know they don't excuse it," he said, moving closer. "All I can do is show you that I'm better now. That I want this, with you and the kids. You have to trust that it's real." Emily searched his eyes, seeking the truth hidden beneath layers of hurt and longing. Was this truly a guy trying to make a change, or just a fleeting fantasy shimmering in the twilight? As the last pale light of day slipped away and the kids clamored for one more round, Emily felt the weight of possibility shifting. Maybe it was time for a leap of faith, a risk that could lead to healing or heartbreak. "Mommy, come play." Lucy's voice rang out, a reminder of the pure joy she had nearly forgotten. With a steadying breath, Emily took a step toward her children and Mark, uncertainty still hanging in the air. But in that moment, she chose to open herself up, if only a fraction. Just as she was about to join them, a haunting thought struck. What if letting him back in was the biggest mistake she'd ever make? The laughter faded into a backdrop of internal conflict, and Emily stood frozen, realizing that every choice had its consequences. Could they truly navigate the swirling paths of forgiveness and hope together, or was disaster lurking just out of sight? Emily stood at the edge of the yard, hesitating. The laughter of her children wrapped around her like a warm blanket, pulling her closer. Mark's gaze held steady on her, a silent encouragement. Could she trust him again? Could she let herself believe in the laughter, the joy? With a deep breath, she stepped forward. Lucy's face lit up when she saw her, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Come on, Mommy," she urged, tugging at Emily's hand. Jack was already busy devising new ways to make the game even more entertaining. As Emily joined, a stir of enthusiasm washed over her. She was filled with an urge to shed the burdens she had carried for so long. She dashed around the makeshift course, finding herself laughing alongside Lucy and Jack, their giggles energizing her spirit. Mark, in the midst of the chaos, clapped his hands and pulled off his best silly dance moves, causing the kids to erupt in fits of laughter. "Look at you, goofball," Emily teased, feeling herself begin to relax. The wall around her heart crumbled slightly, brick by brick. Mark looked at her, a mix of relief and joy flooding his expression. "See? This can be our new beginning," he said, his voice light. "Just like this, full of laughter." But even in the midst of joy, she felt a shadow creeping at the edges of her happiness. What if he didn't mean it? What if this facade crumbled just as quickly as it had begun? Time slipped away, the dusk settling over them like a delicate veil. The yard, once filled with colorful sunlight, morphed into a world soft with twilight hues. It contrasted with Emily's inner turmoil. She could feel hope blossoming, yet uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud ready to burst. An intense laughter erupted when Mark fell dramatically into a heap of leaves, prompting Jack to crawl over and pile leaves on top of him. Lucy cheered, and something inside Emily stirred. She realized that this wasn't just Mark trying to reconnect, it was a moment for all of them. Perhaps they could rebuild together, stone by stone. The playful chaos muted as they all tumbled to the grass, breathless and lying in a heap. For a brief moment, Emily felt a profound sense of belonging wash over her. This was what a family felt like, the intertwined fingers of laughter and love pulling them together, but the feeling was swiftly swept under the tide of doubt. Can we really do this? She wondered, her heart heavy with considerations. After all this time? Are you all right? Mark's voice pierced through her swirling thoughts, genuine concern etched on his face. He could see the cracks forming. Just thinking, she admitted, her voice soft as she pushed up from the grass, looking outward at the fading sky. About what? He pressed gently. About everything, she replied, her voice trembling slightly. About you, about us, our future. Emily, he said, his voice firm yet tender. I promise you, I won't let you down again. I've changed. A flicker of something came alive in her chest. Hope. Fear. Maybe both. As the stars began to twinkle above them, Emily's heart caught on the brink of a decision. Could she dare to believe in the possibility of love again? Could they weave a new tapestry, stronger than the last? Just then, a sudden shiver of wind whispered through the yard, and she caught at a fleeting image of a future filled with laughter and connection, intertwined with moments of doubt lurking just or around the corner. But just as quickly as it appeared, it seemed to vanish. What if I lost everything again? She thought, her heart panting with old fears. That question hung heavily in the air. Would she find the strength to leap into the unknown, or would the fear of falling hold her back? The night settled around them, and with it, a growing sense of urgency. The choices ahead loomed like stars, bright with possibility yet uncertain of their own trajectories. Emily's heart raced as she took in the moment marked by laughter, joy, and just a hint of uncertainty. With the stars beginning to twinkle high above, their family dynamics felt like a fragile web, beautifully intricate yet dangerously delicate. Mommy. Lucy's bright voice cut through the night air, her innocence shining like the brightest star in the sky. Can we play again? A smile crept onto Emily's face, one that felt foreign yet warm. Seeing her children so happy, amidst the chaos of the evening, filled her with a surge of purpose. It reminded her that love, in all its shapes, could find a way to grow even from the ashes of pain. Okay, but how about we try a new game? she suggested, surprising even herself with the enthusiasm in her tone. Jack's eyes lit up at this, and Lucy clapped her hands, bursting with excitement. "Let us pretend we're explorers," Jack exclaimed, causing Emily's heart to swell. Mark joined in on their game, leaning close with a booming voice. "And I can be the wise old tree who guides you through the forest." They erupted into laughter again, the kind that filled the air with a magic that seemed almost palpable. Emily watched as Jack and Lucy pulled Mark into their energy, weaving stories of adventure and imaginative quests. For a fleeting moment, everything felt right, almost perfect, yet as Emily watched, apprehension wrapped around her heart. She remembered the nights they had lost, the void created by her husband's absence. Could this really be a chance for a new beginning? "Mark," she said, her voice quieter amidst the laughter, "can we really be sure this will last? This change?" He turned to her, the laughter in his eyes fading slightly, replaced by earnestness. "I know I made a mess of things. But I'm dedicated to showing you, to proving I can be the husband and father you all need. Just trust me." Trust. It was a slippery word, filled with promise and peril in equal measure. She could see genuine sincerity in his eyes, but fear still whispered doubts in her heart. "Let us just enjoy our adventure, all right?" She decided to turn her energy back to the kids. "All right, explorers, where shall we journey next?" As the children jumped around, sharing fanciful tales of mystical lands, Emily felt the weight of her concerns retreat, if only for a little while. Time flowed, and laughter echoed until the stars stretched across the night sky. But just as she felt herself settling into the comfort of the moment, her phone buzzed. Startled, she glanced at the screen and saw a text message from a friend back in town. "Did you hear about the town hall meeting? They're discussing rebuilding Elmwood and shaping our future." Emily's heart dropped, and reality crept back into her mind. The community was still healing, they needed her now more than ever. If she stepped back into Mark's life, would there be room left in her heart to be the beacon of strength for Elmwood? "Mark," she said, her voice finding its strength again. "I think I want to help with the rebuilding effort. The town needs us, and I want more than anything to be strong for my children and for our community. It's going to take a lot of time." He nodded, eyes understanding. "I wanted to talk to you about that. I want to help, too. We can rebuild together." And just like that, a flicker of hope ignited something in her chest. Maybe it was possible to blend the two worlds, the fragile beginnings of their family and the duty she felt towards Elmwood. "All right then, let us do it," she said, her heart swelling with newfound determination. "Let us build a life that reflects who we are now. For Lucy and Jack. And for this town." As the stars twinkled above, a wave of comfort washed over her. In that moment, love felt tangible, woven with threads of hope and commitment. Together, they stood up, ready to change the narrative of their lives, embracing both the past and the open possibilities of tomorrow. With laughter still filling the air and hearts wide open, they took tentative steps forward, hand in hand, reshaping their family and their town every single day. A future full of light, laughter, and love was theirs to create. Together, Emily took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the moment sink in. "I think we can find our way if we take it one step at a time." The stars illuminated their path, daring them to dream without fear. And as they gazed upward, something beautiful ignited possibility, togetherness, and the unwavering spirit that defines community. As the night embraced them, they knew they had the strength of love and collaboration on their side. Now is the time to transform your moments into lasting memories. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories filled with inspiration and heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this positivity. Your comments mean the world. Drop your reactions and feelings about this transformative ending below. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us create a community that lifts each other up.